Welcome to the Grace Channel. This is my first conversation with the most special man in my life. So we are very honored. I am very honored, very, very, very touched and moved to introduce my dearly beloved son, John Delaney. He has a master's degree in... Bachelor's degree, but he's quite a master, yes. He's got a bachelor's in economics, a minor in philosophy and math, and on the International Golden Key Club. So I'm very proud of you, John.
Thanks, Mom.
And
thanks for having me here.
Oh my gosh, it's a day to celebrate for me, a moment to celebrate for me. And as a philosopher, as an astute philosopher, going through the
student of philosophy.
Exactly. I love that. Thank you for correcting that, because aren't we all students of life? Yes. And we're just continuing to reach higher and higher levels of mastery. But I know that you've been through quite 4 years of philosophy, and you mentioned you wanted to talk about the subject of not knowing. So you want to share some of that with us?
Yeah, philosophy, and I'd say philosophy as well as mathematics, is the two most difficult subjects I can study. And there's so many subjects to study, but in the beginning it was all philosophy or all mathematics. And modern philosophy has started with this man named Socrates, and we know very, very little about Socrates. But what changed from modern philosophy to ancient philosophy, from ancient to modern philosophy, was this man Socrates. And the biggest thing that he affirmed was that it's better to not know than to think you know when you don't. And in that, there's just such a wealth of lifestyle, such a wealth of philosophy and different mentality. I think that most people around the globe can affirm that, but it's difficult with our human condition oftentimes to live by that, to say, yeah, well, I have these opinions, I think this, but but an honest philosopher, an honest seeker of truth, when they don't know, and even if they give their assent to some certain opinion or position, they affirm within themselves that if I don't know it to be absolutely true, it's a form of bias. It's just another degree of bias. And I'm going to go with this because this sounds better to me than this. But there's a heavy emphasis on this mentality being having an effect on groups of people. So it's not just like I do this for myself, for my own peace of mind, but it's because if I'm saying things that I don't know to be true, then it affects others. And we do live in a world where our words affect others, and that where we have to rely on others for various things. And it's important to have some degree of integrity in our word and some degree of integrity in our thought, and to really be skeptical about truth. And if we don't know to the greatest degree of knowledge and truth that is possible, then we admit that we don't know, and we don't risk others and our world and our fellow species the same error of judgment that we have fallen in regards to forming opinions and things of this sort. So.
Wow, it's so powerful, John. It's so powerful, because I think when people do get really rigidly stuck in a position and they don't really maybe loosen up a little bit to really actually question that position. I mean, question it. It might have been something that they just were taught, or something but when that happens, it's like a bit of like a stuck energy when someone's just insistent on a position, one position, and rigidly I guess what it would be they're defending it in a sense. And it almost separates them from themselves and them from others. And it's even kind of hard to have a conversation with them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that, I don't know, I don't really know how to respond to that.
Well,
is there a question?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just when we can, I love what you say about unless you really, really know something to be true, is to just keep your mind open and to go open. And I know for me, what I've explored in my exploration, because I know you and I both are extremely passionate about truth.
Mm-hmm.
Truth. And for me, when I really get clear with myself, and this is something that's pretty steady now, really the only thing I can know that exists is that I am, that I have this presence, this awareness.
Okay, Descartes.
Is that a Descartes thing? Okay, I don't know the philosophers. But I mean, when I really get honest with myself, truly honest with myself, I mean, I don't know that, I can't know. I can never be inside you. I can never know what you feel. But I can know what I feel in each moment. I can know what I'm experiencing inside of me. Like I can just, and it's not a knowing like a knowledge that you can put in a book. But that's probably the deepest truth that I can experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the mantras that I've had over the years, for several years, is I don't know what anything means, I don't know what anything is for, and I don't know what anyone else needs. And that's created a lot of freedom for me. It's created freedom.
Yeah, I think it comes down to oftentimes and repeatedly, regardless of what circle or what philosophical school you associate with, it all comes down to this issue of myself in a community of people.
Mm.
And that's really why I like the study of economics, because the study of economics is somewhat similar to the spiritual journey that you've set yourself upon. It's really, we really just want to live a better life and maximize happiness to the most amount of people, and do things that prior generations had considered impossible, and increase the standard of living, and live in peace, and things like this. And it's a distinct study as compared to spiritual pursuits, because in spiritual pursuits, theoretically there's no constraints. I give and I get, and anything can be true, and everything can be beautiful. And it's just it takes another step to step into the world of material and bring these spiritual pursuits into the laws of physics, and identify, well, how is this all going to work together? So it's kind of like, we have the philosophy of self in regards to a community, and then we have the community in regards to physics and the real world and nature and things like this. And it's I think it's a worthwhile pursuit. At times I feel stressed, and I feel so stressed that I don't want to think about it, and I think, like, starting off studying philosophy, I thought I knew everything, and had an opinion about all these things, and was a kingpin philosopher to the highest degree and stuff like this. And then upon studying philosophy, you're like, well, I know I don't know, it's like I'm pretty ignorant, and at least I'm more familiar with some of these topics than most. But and I can analyze an argument, and I can weight a position against its logical value and its purpose for humanity. But it really helps me check my pride, because I like to think that I know so much, and I can contribute so much in the ways that I deem to be appropriate, and the ways that I deem to be important. But it's important to get out there and to share these thoughts, and honestly have them be criticized, constructive criticism by your peers, and one difficulty, of course, and that we're taught in philosophy is the ability to argue it. Because sometimes it's just like you state a position and people don't even know what you're talking about. Where they say like, okay, and then they go off with their position. And it's like, you didn't hear that. You know, you didn't understand or recognize what I said. And if you did, then you have a response to it, whether it's an objection or an evaluation. But it's kind of a different world of, it's a different lifestyle, living with people that have the respect for philosophy, have the respect for words and for knowledge and for how people communicate and how we get things done. And it, you know, I think the study beyond philosophy would probably be economics. And that's just implementing that in the real world. So.
That's so powerful, John. You're just a powerful leader in this world. You're a powerful man. I am so proud of you. You're just your articulateness, your open mind, your brilliance, your genius, brilliant mind. And what you said is so powerful is that, you know, we a lot of these lofty ideas are great and wonderful, but how are we implementing them to make a better world or to create a more transformative world, a more evolved planet, a more evolved race, happier people, better standard of living, more abundance, all those things. It's actually the implementing of those ideas that really make the difference.
Yeah. And to end, I'd like to say that in my own personal experience, like I've had some really lofty ideas that are beautiful and things of this sort, but and this kind of goes along the lines of Aristotelian ethics, but I've noticed that the real world is so much better than I could have ever conceived it. And that although I might have these biases and these prejudices and these ways that I want things to be, it really makes it like the way that the world is constructed and the tools that we have and the constraints and the dispositions of people, when we identify them, when we balance them all together, when we counterbalance them with different models and different forms of government, we really get to identify a new world, a new way of thinking that isn't, I wouldn't say that it's simple by any means, but in consequence, it's far better than I could have done myself. And that most people just wish for and want. You know, it's like world peace, absolutely. You know, ending war, sure, let's do it. You know, and all these things are possible, and it's possible through the lens of economics, through the lens of philosophy and of honesty, and but it doesn't come through wishing or through hope or anything besides argument and acceptance of the facts and how we're going to balance these facts against each other. And it comes with only the real true beauty comes with recognition of the real world. And without that recognition, it is, I fear, all of us in our prejudice against each other's prejudice. And we fail to identify and recognize what the real world leads us to. So that's what I do. I'm a bit of an empiricist. You know, I value the world and the facts within it, and I try to learn from that and balance, you know, different dispositions and ideals against, you know, each other and the facts of the case. So.
Wow. Well, John, you are so inspiring. I claim this is my son. This is my son speaking. I'm so proud of you. You make me look so good. Thank you. I love you, sweetheart. Thank you so much for being here on this channel at this time, and for all that are listening. I'm sure you have contributed to people's lives, inspired them. You've inspired me. And so I know you've inspired others.
Thanks, Mom.
So thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in to the Grace Channel. May you have a beautiful and blessed day. Namaste.
Thank you.